South Florida, Monday night. Stadium lights cut through the humidity as history waits inside Hard Rock Stadium. No dynasties, no usual powers, just two programs that refuse to follow the script. Miami chasing a return to glory. Indiana chasing history for the first time. Legacy meets destiny. This is the College Football National Championship. It's time to break the huddle. Nathan Johnston alongside Brad Hopkins here to give you an inside look and preview to this beautiful national championship matchup between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Miami Hurricanes. Brad, what a matchup we have. Indiana, whopping 7.5-point favorite in a national title football game. Total over-under is 48.5. So kind of low scoring according to Vegas in this one. Monday, January 19th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami's home field advantage. And we know that the Indiana crowd is going to come out swinging in this one as well. They're going to show up. Shocking to see 95% of the crowd at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl was Indiana. 5% was Oregon. That's another conversation for another day. But Brad, does Indiana laying more than a touchdown on the road feel justified, or is this line disrespecting Miami's playoff run?
I think it's definitely justified. I definitely get why Vegas and all the experts out there are putting that 7.5 on Indiana. Look, Nate, we were talking about this off camera, and kind of the narrative around the college football world is this Indiana run, the regular season, and especially what they've done in the two playoff games, it's giving people 2019 LSU vibes. I mean, we're talking Fernando Mendoza coming into this game, who is, I'm going to be shocked if he's not the number one pick in a couple of months to the Oakland Raiders. He's got more touchdowns than incompletions. I mean, you're seeing all these zero stars just they're getting coached up, they're getting developed, they're playing unbelievable. I think the same thing that stands out to me is just how physical this team is. Like, myself, I thought Oregon was going to be a pretty physical team. Dan Lanning comes from the Kirby Smart coaching tree. He preaches physicality. They had no match for Indiana. No disrespect to Miami. Miami's been on an incredible run, but Indiana just feels like it's their year. They feel like that it's their time, the team of destiny. Miami's going to give them a good game, but this 7.5 line, I think it's absolutely warranted.
Yeah, and then you look at Miami on the other side, getting to this place on Monday night, not easy. Probably one of the hardest schedules to get through in the playoffs, I would say.
Yeah.
They had to go against A&M in the first round in College Station. They win, barely escape, but they win, they move on. Then they play Ole Miss, a very tough team that beat a very physical, tough Georgia team. They beat them. Now they get a chance to play in the national championship game against all odds. Both of these teams somehow, some way are here to play in the national title game. Miami's shock run, like we said, didn't win the ACC, barely made the playoffs, took out A&M. I mentioned Ole Miss. I forgot Ohio State as well. Can't forget about that. Right. So, yeah, A&M, Ohio State, and Ole Miss, that's one of the toughest 3-game stretches any team in America could ever have. I mean, you put that 3-game stretch on any regular season, and you're probably looking at a 1-2, 0-3 stretch for most teams in college football. So, man, what a run. And then you look at Indiana's historic rise, 15-0, Big Ten champs, first title appearance ever, 1 win away from a perfect season. Brad, which run is more surprising to you? Miami surviving its way in, or Indiana going through from a program punchline to undefeated juggernaut?
I got to be honest, Nate. I think it's a little bit of Miami, and once again, I'm gonna eat a little crow here. Both of these teams have surprised me. I didn't think either one of them was going to get to this point. But Miami, the on the road against A&M, very very impressive win in that hostile crowd. I think everyone came into it saying, Ohio State is still, even losing the Big Ten championship game, a lot of people thought Ohio State was still a big favorite just because of their explosive offense. Miami shutting them down, and then really kind of Cinderella versus Cinderella in the semifinals with Miami versus Ole Miss. And I got to say, one thing that impressed me, and we'll get to this more, but Miami's offense showed up in that Ole Miss game. They've been very just kind of let's do enough to win. And Carson Beck in that second half and really in that fourth quarter, Nate, it reminded me of some of his games and efforts against at Georgia. He really kind of he made some big time throws, did some things with his legs, and so Miami's run is more shocking. And I think that's what sets up just an unbelievable game. Two teams that you didn't, midway through the season, you didn't necessarily expect. Indiana comes in undefeated, but Miami, the last team in the playoff, and here they are in this incredible run. So it's setting up for just a fantastic showdown.
Yeah, we saw Ohio State last year make a run in the playoff. They didn't make the Big Ten championship game.
Right.
Everyone thought, oh, they're not worth being in the playoff. Oh, they're not going to make a run. Lo and behold, they end up winning it all.
Absolutely.
Either one of these two teams could take home the title at the end of Monday night. Let's look at the key players in this game, Brad. And we got the rosters here. Obviously, the big names are Carson Beck, Fernando Mendoza. You look at this receiving core for Indiana, Brad. You look at Surratt, Cooper Jr., Williams Jr., and even a running back like Hemby, very underrated guy in the run attack. And then obviously the unsung heroes up front, the offensive line for Indiana, who's played outstanding. Then you look at Indiana's secondary. You look at a guy like Pons, who's come up with some big time plays.
Miami native as well.
There you go. And then you look at this defense for Miami. You talk about the offensive weapons like Malachi Toney. You look at Daniels. You look at Mark Fletcher Jr. and that rushing attack. And then the defense, just obviously very stacked. Mesidor. Moten got hurt. I don't know if he's going to play in this one. He only played one snap last game.
Right.
Bain Jr., Scott as well. I mean, like these two rosters are just filled with superstars everywhere you look. And I want to ask you, Brad, I had a different question, but I want to ask you off script, who's the key player you're looking out for? Because last game, when we watched Miami play Ole Miss, we saw Keelan Marion come alive.
Yeah.
He was the guy that we talked about preseason and into the beginning of the season, one of those guys that was going to make a difference, transferred in from BYU. He's been kind of quiet throughout the last few games, and then bam, he's the guy that makes it happen against Ole Miss. Who do you think on either team?
Yeah.
Who do you think that unsung hero is for this national championship game?
A guy that has stood out to me for Indiana, and I really, really he caught my eye in the Big Ten championship game. It's Charlie Becker. He has just made some big time catches, and Nate, I'll say, we talk about a lot of different receiving cores in college football. This Indiana one's unbelievable. Surratt's unbelievable, Cooper, Williams, but Charlie Becker, I won't say he's become Fernando Mendoza's go-to guy, but he's kind of become his safety net a little bit. And man, he had an incredible catch. I don't remember what quarter it was against Oregon where he just absolutely toasted that. But to me, I think a really interesting storyline is the Miami receiving core versus the Indiana receiving core. We've seen obviously really good quarterback play, good offensive line play. I'm interested to see. To me, I think a lot of this comes down to if one of these secondaries can kind of maybe not slow down, but prevent the big play in this one. I think that gives us a key to who wins this one.
Yeah, and I think third downs are going to be big in this one.
Absolutely.
Indiana doesn't really get in third down situations much. It's hard to get them in third down. They're usually first and second. They pick up the first down. It's very, very hard to stop this Indiana offense. Miami's defense is a defense that you would think can be that type of team to put them in third and long situations, but we'll see Monday night. I think a guy like E.J. Williams Jr. could come alive. We've talked about Surratt. We've talked about Cooper, Becker, Charlie Becker, who have been phenomenal. Where's E.J. Williams been? I mean, he's been kind of lackluster over the last few games. Curious to see if he can make an impact.
And he's a guy that was super highly rated coming out of high school, went to Clemson, and, good numbers up here, 36 catches on the year, 400 yards, Nate, 6 touchdowns. But I'm with you, Cooper, Surratt, get the most publicity. They're both over 800 yards. Becker's really emerged in the postseason in the playoffs, but I'm with you. EJ Williams is a big target. I mean, you said the guy from Miami last week really took. I mean, that was
Keelan Marion.
Keelan Marion. He was Carson Beck's go-to guy. So it seems to be a recurring theme in these championship games. It's a guy that people know about, but it's kind of that unsung hero that ends up making the difference.
Yeah, I agree completely. I'm also curious, and we'll get into this in a second. I think special teams is going to play a factor in this
Absolutely.
one.
Absolutely.
We haven't really had the chance to talk about special teams much this
No.
playoffs. I mean, we've had a couple block kicks, a
Right.
couple missed kicks.
Right.
We know that always comes into play. But what about punt returns and kick returns?
No.
Are we due for a Malachi Tony kick return or something special?
It seems like he's on the verge of one. I have no doubt that Kurt Signetti is going to be aware of that. But look, that guy wants to get in space and create some magic, and it could be due one next Monday night.
I agree. Let's talk about why Indiana has the advantage of this one. Indiana top 3 net success rate. Miami ranked 22nd. Indiana's run game versus Miami's defense ranked 79th in EPA per rush allowed. Not the best, Brad. Hoosiers are elite in turnover margin and penalty discipline. My question to you, Brad, is do you see any area where Miami actually has a statistical edge, or is this just a nightmare matchup on paper?
I don't know about a statistical edge, Nate, but one question mark I do have, and this is not, when I say this is not me doubting the Indiana offensive line, because I'd be foolish to do that. But when you go up against Mesidor and Bain, I do question if they've seen a pass rush like that. Ohio State, in my opinion, they had a really, really good front four. They had a good group of edges, but Bain and Mesidor, man, they're different. And so that, I'm not saying that's a statistical advantage for me, but I think the first couple possessions, if specifically Carter Smith, the unbelievable left tackle for Indiana, if they are able to hold their own, look, I think it's going to be tough uphill sledding for Miami. And I'll be honest, Bain and Mesidor, they were kind of quiet against Ole Miss. I was really expecting them to have some success, and they didn't. So that's the one area that I'm really, really watching. If those guys play like they did against A&M and Ohio State, man, we're in for a treat. I think it's going to do some things to Indiana's game plan, where they're going to have to make some adjustments on the fly. They came out like they did against Ole Miss, not exactly effective in the pocket. Cannot give that kind of time to Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, what shocks me is the fact that Miami held the ball for 41 minutes against Ole Miss.
Yes.
So their defense wasn't on the field a lot.
They were rested.
Their defense was not on the field a lot. But the fact that they're coming away with that win, sneaking out by 4 points, that's the part that surprises me.
Yeah.
You control a game for 41 minutes and you win by 4. I don't know if that's the type of recipe that you can have against Indiana, because listen, if you make one little mistake, they're going to make you pay.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about what Miami needs to do to get the upset against Indiana. They've got to have a clean game for Carson Beck. And to me, like, you can throw all of the rest of the points out the window. Carson Beck has to play the best game of his career, and he's had to thus far. To get to the national championship, you knew he was going to ride on Carson Beck's shoulder, because you can expect the defensive line to show up. You can expect Mark Fletcher to show up. You can expect the wide receivers to show up. Can Carson Beck play clean football? And can he make the right choices in tough times?
Yeah.
We saw him down the stretch come away with that victory drive, and it proved to a lot of people, including myself and probably you and so many others, that, hey, he's got it.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
He can do it in clutch moments. We haven't seen that from him yet.
Yeah.
He finally made that happen against Ole Miss last week.
Yeah.
Can he do it again versus Indiana defense, who I think is much better than the Ole Miss defense?
Yeah.
Explosive plays from Malachi Tony. You got to get Tony in space. Indiana is going to be probably umbrellaing him. I don't even know if that's the right word. They're going to be covering him pretty good, pretty tightly. Defensive line creates chaos early. You got to get to Mendoza. It's going to be hard, first of all, to get to him. Then you have to get him on the ground. Don't know if that's possible either. It's going to be a tough night for this Miami defense if they can't get to Mendoza early. Indiana forced out of its comfort zone. Again, we talk about their first and second downs. They don't really have to deal with third downs a lot, Brad.
Right.
And that's not good if you're a team like Miami coming into this one. You got to get third down. Now, my question to you, Brad, if Miami is going to pull this off, what's the one thing that absolutely has to go right for them?
The one thing I think Miami has to, I think they have to steal a possession at some point, whether that's some kind of fake on special teams, whether that's, a kick return, punt return. I think stealing that possession, giving yourself a lead, and making Indiana play catch up. Nate, we really haven't seen it this year. Indiana, I'm reminded Indiana did have to do that against Penn State. They were to pull it out. This is a much better team than that. But I think Miami has got to try to steal that position at some point, or possession, during the game at some point.
Yeah, you make a very, very great point, Brad. Indiana has really not played from behind much of this season. They kind of get ahead and just squeeze you from there.
Yeah.
And it's not even close.
Yeah.
You're playing catch up, and then they're able to play for their strength,
Right.
to their strengths. That's a great point. I wonder if Miami can do that.
Yeah.
I think they had the players to do it.
Absolutely.
We saw them do it against Ole Miss. So, and I think that they did it against Ohio State too.
Yeah, I mean, Miami had a
pick six.
They had a pick six. They did an incredible job. They absolutely, they've got the capability to do it. It's just that Indiana doesn't beat themselves, which makes this, it's a harder road to do that.
Yeah, I also want to mention too, real quick. I know we were talking about key players earlier. A lot of people said that Daly going out on the defensive line was going to hurt Indiana. It doesn't look like they've skipped a beat, Brad.
That's a great point. And Nate, another guy I want to just point out real quick, Landino, man, this guy has filled in for Daly just remarkably. He gets great penetration, blows things up, but they haven't missed a beat. They have not missed a beat. That was a big question mark because all we heard leading up to the Rose Bowl and these playoffs was Daly's out, Daly's out, Daly's out. Landino's making everyone forget about Daly.
Well, when you have the secondary that Indiana has,
great point.
It definitely helps.
Great
when you're able to do man to man, when you're able to blitz, which they haven't really blitzed much. They've been rushing 4. It really helps out the D line as well.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, Landino, he's not a highly rated guy, but he's been very productive, and sometimes productivity is a lot better than 5 stars.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what Kirk Cincinnati preaches.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Curious to see how that turns out. Brad, Indiana minus 7.5, 48.5 over under. Miami's story has been special. Indiana's mastered modern college football, portal experience, discipline, and efficiency. This feels like a coronation. Brad, is this more about Indiana winning the title or Miami finally running out of magic?
It just, and this is going to, kind of feed in. I think it's going to, kind of give away my pick. Feels like it's Indiana's time. They're playing elite football, and man, Nate, I think what's even more impressive is they're undefeated at this point. That's so, even your elite teams, that we've seen in the past, they slip up at somewhere, and Indiana's, man, they're just, things are clicking for them.
I texted you off air, Brad. This had to be the hardest prediction I have ever made on the show. And rightfully so. It's the national championship game. But man, like, you look at the edge between these two games. I picked Miami when they were a 10.5 point underdog against Ohio State. No one gave them a chance. No one thought they'd do it. I think Rooster and I both picked Miami in that one. They overcome adversity and blow out Ohio State. Not Monday night. Give me the Indiana Hoosiers. I just think Kirk Cincinnati and Mendoza, I think that rushing attack is underrated. Their wide receiver core, man. As much as the nation is talking about this receiver core for Miami, and don't get me wrong, they're dang good in Miami. I mean, dang good. And they deserve every single right to be in this national title game. They've earned it. But Indiana, man, they have proven to me, to you, to the whole nation that, hey, they're here and they're here to stay.
Absolutely.
And I don't think they're going anywhere next year either. That'll be another episode in the offseason that we talk about. But give me the Indiana Hoosiers in this one late. But I'm going to take Miami to cover. I think this is a closer game.
Okay.
I think Miami keeps it close. I think this might be a game like we saw Indiana, Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think we could see a 17-10 game. I think it could be. I really do.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out next Monday night. We look forward to seeing you there. Rooster and Jake and I will be live to give you in-game commentary and analysis from Break the Huddle After Dark. Be sure to check us out on Monday night, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Help us to get to 1,000 subs. We're so close. We're at 939. We really appreciate all the support. Once we get to 1,000, we can really jump up this show even more. And be sure to check us out, like I said, Monday night for Break the Huddle After Dark, as we will give in-game live commentary and analysis in this national championship game. Let us know down below what you think about this game. Who do you have coming out on top? Is it the Hoosiers, or is it all about the U? We'll see you Monday night. It's time to break the huddle.